Hello, welcome. My name is Lakshmi Challa, and I'm here to welcome you to Challa Chai Time, where we're going to delve into very substantive issues and then invite a guest who can talk about how to apply those very substantive immigration issues to business realities. So today we're going to be talking about leveraging franchises. So franchises can be helpful on many accounts. Let's say, for example, you're an F1 student and you don't have a job offer this summer, and you're worried that you will be unemployed for beyond the statutory period. One of the things you can do is you can leverage by buying a franchise. Now, there are some institutions where there is a startup implicit in their program, but not all of them are. And so you don't have, you can't readily avail yourself to all the things that are part of the process. So what you want to do is, the franchise can be a great mechanism for you to leverage the ability to do franchising. I am trying to. You can also use franchises, for example, if you are on an H1. And as an H1, you can self-petition. But there are very specific regulations that allow for H1s to self-petition their own H1B. So the transition from F1, because F1 on an OPT, you only have 1 year. So what do you do after that? How can you leverage franchising so that you can then avail yourself of the H1B? And if not the H1B, what are some other options? So E2 is often an option for some students who belong to E2 countries. Now, not all countries are E2 eligible. There are some countries that are not E2 eligible, but there are mechanisms by which you can get a citizenship of that country and then use that to get an E2 visa. For L1s, a lot of times, a new office L1A, L1s are for multinational companies. So when you have a new office L1A to expand your business in the United States, you're only granted that for 1 year. So you have to show growth within that 1 year, which, does not make any sense in the real business world. However, USCIS doesn't operate on the real business world. So for a client recently who did not have a sales pool within the United States to sell their very clean proprietary air-conditioned products, they are looking at the option of buying a franchise so that they can, while they're trying to build up their business and sales pool here in the United States, they will also be able to demonstrate at the end of the 1 year that they've had some growth. So we go into details of this, not today, but in a separate YouTube video. So a separate YouTube video, because we want to get into the details of what each of the processes are, the risks, and we thought today, let me just tell you generally how franchises would apply, and we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and if you have any questions on reviewing the information, please feel free to comment on it or email us at info@challalaw.com. Our goal in putting together this YouTube channel and spending time to chat with you every week is so that we can outline very key specific strategies and processes that you can put in place. Not just, most of the informational seminars that I've gone to have always been very general. So we try to say, this is what you should file, this is how you should do it, this is how you should structure it, so that you have real key takeaways to help you achieve your immigration objective. And we also will be featuring, down the road, next week, for example, we have individuals that we are trying to showcase who are stars in the immigration world. As I said, if you want to change the narrative, you've got to be part of the discussion. And so we want to make sure that we highlight some of the great immigrants who are, building and doing wonderful things here in the United States. So next week, we will be talking to a woman who is part of Born Free. If any of you can remember Born Free was a picture a long time ago, but it was all about, animal conservation. And she is the leading specialist in the world. In fact, she spoke before Parliament, and she convinced the UK to change some of their rules regarding how animals should be treated in the entertainment industry. And after reading her studies and a lot of the things that she had published, I can't go to a zoo anymore. It, to me, is, so I hope you'll stay tuned to listen to her about, not only talk about her great work, but also talk about, oops, I'm trying to, sorry. Minimize, okay, there we go. And then today, I wanted to introduce, oh no. There we go. Shekar Challa. I think he's here. Let me see. This thing keeps moving. There we go. There he is. Shekar Challa, who I kind of know for at least 35 years. He is been in business for a really long time, so he's got a lot of business experience. He helped me start my practice many years ago when I decided to move out on my own. He's been very instrumental in the marketing, growth, and development of it. He is also a PhD, MBA, engineering, and I joke all the time that I've got the law degree and he's got all the other degrees. So he's here today to talk to us. He's part of Trans World Advisors, and to tell us a little bit about franchising and some of the practical applications of using franchises to achieve your immigration objectives. So without further ado, Mr. Shekar Challa, I hope you have your chai. All right, very good. If you could tell us a little bit about Trans World Advisors. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know if I unmuted you, but I can't hear you, so I want to make sure.
Myself. Myself, yeah. Okay. So good morning, everybody. Let me just position myself. All right.
More tea.
So thank you for the opportunity, Lakshmi. It's a great day here in Richmond, Virginia. That's where I am located. And as Lakshmi says, I represent Trans World Business Advisors, which is a West Palm Beach, Florida-based company, been for 40 years. And so they basically are into, helping people in buying and selling businesses and franchises. So that is the main purpose of Trans World Business Advisors. And we have an office here in Richmond, Virginia. We cover the entire state of, most of the state of Virginia. So pretty much that's just a little bit of an overview of what Trans World Business Advisors is.
So you say that you're based in Richmond, Virginia, but I've often got clients that would maybe want to set up a business in other parts of the United States. Would you be able to help them, or are you just jurisdictionally very local to Richmond?
No, I can help anybody who's located anywhere. Let me just share my screen just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Just a minute as we all go through this. Okay. So here is my screen, if you can see it. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I said, although I'm located in Richmond, Virginia, we have offices and presence in all these countries. So we can help anybody located in any of these countries in terms of whether they would like to, buy a business. That's how you probably want to come into the United States. People who are already in the United States, also we help people buy businesses and as well as sell, businesses and franchises. So as you can see, we are omnipresent.
Right. So, but if I have a client that say is in India, would you be able to help them?
Yeah, we
even
have.
Though you don't have an office there, a presence there, would you be able to help them identify and buy franchises?
We have an office. We have a presence there. It's a very recent one. So we do have a presence in India. We should be able to help anybody who's in India. I know you have a lot of clients from India. So definitely we would be glad to help them, through the India office and, go through the same process that we go through with anybody, whether they're located in US or in, UK or France or wherever,
Right. But even if you don't have a presence in the country, if they contact you in the US in Richmond, you'd be able to still help them, correct?
Yes. Definitely, in this digital age, as you know, we can reach anybody anywhere. So that's not an issue. I have a lot of contacts in India, had quite a few businesses out there. As you know, that, I helped you and your business also for some time. So I do have a number of contacts in India and all over India. And actually I worked in India for, for better part of my earlier years before I came to the United States. So that is an added advantage to me. And I know the language very well, the bureaucracy. And so all those things put together, you get a package deal from me if you have an interest in buying and or selling a business or a franchise. So that's not an issue at all.
Well, there's somebody that has a question. So let me see what their question is. It's from Vipin Gautam. There's a nice aura around you, Shekar. What's the meaning of having a presence in these countries? Does it mean you can help clients from there, or can you help in setting up businesses in these countries? That's a good question. So is it just inbound, but if you have a presence in those countries, would you be able to help someone, let's say in the United States, that wants to buy a business in Australia or the Bahamas or Canada or one of the other places where you have a presence?
Oh yeah, we have our co-brokers, folks who are there in that particular country. So we always talk to each other through our CRM system called Sydney. So that's how we exchange. We go to meetings, conferences, as you know, every year, a couple of times a year. So we meet a lot of people, have mutual interests. So definitely I have contacts, not just because I'm from India, but also from other parts of the country and the world. So definitely, we will definitely be able to help if folks from US want to set up, let's say, a business in, let's take Bahamas or Portugal or Mexico or Puerto Rico. So no issues. We should make it happen. We'll be able to, connect that and be a seamless process.
Wonderful. And so just to summarize it, you can help people who are from the countries where you have a presence to buy a business or an existing business or franchise in the United States. even if you don't have a presence, you'll still be able to help them because they can contact you directly and assist. And then,
countries, let's take a country there where we don't have a presence. Let's take, Sweden, Switzerland. Sweden. I like Sweden. I haven't been there, but love to go there.
I'd love to go there too.
Or Switzerland or whatever. So any of those countries, right now we don't have a presence, but it's not just Trans World. It's just that Trans World does not have a presence. That doesn't mean that I don't have contacts. I have contacts through the various Chamber of Commerce and the U.S. embassies. So I've been participating in a number of international trade, what are called conferences like the Select USA. So I've developed quite a bit of contacts, all over the world. So for me, nothing is impossible. I can make it happen. So not to worry. Just leave it to me.
Okay, good. So we know that you can assist people from all over the world come into the U.S. and set up a business. You can also help to a certain degree with people trying to expand in other countries. So I wanted to know, what is the difference what's the benefit of buying like a franchise versus an existing business? I mean, is there any additional support or, infrastructure that's in place that could help facilitate that business?
Well, so here is something I just wanted to talk about. So Trans World Business Advisors represent over 200 franchises, opportunities, industries, and at various, investment levels. So what are the benefits of franchising? It's the same thing as, if you're buying a business. And why is it that you are interested in buying a business? There could be many reasons, but by and large, maybe you're downsizing. You want to, greater security, so you want to downsize whatever you've been doing, right? You have more control of your life. You're tired of going 9 to 5, every day. Many people go to work, do things that they don't like, but because they have to do it, you would have a better control of your life in terms of managing your time. You are the king of your time, so you can manage your time better. And the dream of being independent. Lakshmi, that when you started your career, you were working with another law firm for 5-6 years, I guess.
Right.
I'm sure when you reflect back on those years, how intense the schedule was, and you had to be there on time. It's always the case in corporate America or corporate India or corporate world, right? If you're an executive, you got to be there on time or before time. But that does not mean that you can leave on time or before. I mean, it happens once in a while, but by and large, for executives, you go on time, but you never leave on time. So that means you don't have any independence. So those are some, main issues that if you're grappling with, you would be able to relieve of all those, stress or whatever you want to call it, and make a better decision and make a better quality of living.
Right, but from what I understand with franchises, it's almost like buying a business in a box. So for those people who may not have the business savvy or background, the franchise would offer them training. They've got metrics and.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I can talk about the buying process. It's actually a 9-step buying process. So when we come to that, I'll be able to tell you. We walk through the potential buyer, in terms of various stages, and make sure that the person or persons are comfortable into what they are getting into. We never force anybody. Obviously, that doesn't work. So you got to like what you do. And obviously you want to buying a franchise or a business because you're not liking what you're doing, and you want to have all these greater security, better control of time and independence. So we make sure, we provide you, take you through the process and make sure and ensure that, you're happy and satisfied with.
Right. That's what Trans World does. But I'm, from what I understand, that depending on the type of franchise, the franchisor, will actually have some training for the individuals as well, because they have a brand and they want to make sure that they
definitely.
protect that brand, so they have training and ongoing support. Is that
exactly? If you take you know, an IT person, somebody who's on H-1B visa, or somebody who's finished education in computer science, and they're about to get into OPT, or are in OPT, and they want to be in the related business in the IT. You know, Transworld has a number of IT related business. An example could be, you know, like you know, Apple Service Center, any products related manufactured by Apple, you know, computer company, you know, the Mac and all the laptops, desktops, obviously all the phones and all the related products. That's a very successful franchise in United States.
Well, we have a couple of questions, so let me see what questions we have. Can one apply for EB1 or EB2 from India?
That's a question for you, since you
yes,
are
that's a question for me. Well, I was going to say, you know, it depends. So you have to have an a offer of employment. So you can apply, but you can't typically apply directly. And then here's another question from Munir. Does buying a franchise automatically make you eligible for immigration and a work permit? How much does a franchise cost, and what are the other expenses? So let me answer the immigration side, and then I'll let you answer what the franchise cost and expenses are. Well, nothing automatically makes you eligible for an immigration or work permit. There are various avenues, and a franchise could work easily in those avenues. So if you are overseas and you have an overseas office, buying a franchise and setting up a presence in the US on an L1 could make you eligible. If you don't have an overseas office, there is something called the E2. There's only an E2 is a treaty-based visa, and not all countries have a treaty with the United States to be able to utilize that. But there are ways that you can get citizenship very quickly in E2 countries that would allow you for that. So we have a separate video that goes into this in great detail. So please check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, and if you have any comments, we would be happy to answer them. India does not. But you know, if you look at the YouTube video, I'll tell you, even if you're an Indian national, how you would be able to do that. And I'm going to let Shekar answer the question about the franchise cost, and then I will address the H4, H1B from India to start a business in the US.
So the question was, how much would it cost?
How much does a franchise cost, and what are all the expenses?
All right, to begin with, you know, it all depends on what kind of franchise you're looking for. Of course, first thing is, you know, your budget, right? How much money you have, you can afford to. And even before that, are you buying a franchise or a business to get, you know, a valid, what do you call, a visa status in the United States? Then there are some other criteria, right? You know, it doesn't have to be as substantial as investing in an EV5 project, but definitely you can get by with about $100,000 to $150,000 at a minimum. You can get by with that amount of investment into a particular franchise. And the question to address in terms of, let's say, through the E2 visa, if that's what you're trying to do, is these, you know, the percentage of investment that you make into the business is more important. So if it is $100,000 to $150,000, you know, that is not substantial amount. That means you have to invest more percentage. Let's say, you know, 75 to 80% of that you should invest. The others you can always get a loan or something like that.
Right.
And Lakshmi can correct me, but if the investment is more, let's say, you know, home healthcare companies, some of the home healthcare companies or IT staffing companies, you know, that are doing very well, are priced a little higher, 400,000, 350,000, something like that. So there, again, it doesn't have to be 75 to 80%, but it has to be substantial. So what is substantial? Well, that's a relative term. So it could be there about 50% or 40%.
Right, but I guess,
that's
but the
what,
question, right, the questions they had more for were what are additional franchise.
well, additional franchise costs would be, the fee, that you would pay to, Transworld, through me. I'm representing you, but I'm working for you. But I'm using the infrastructure of Transworld Business Advisors. We have a great CRM system. We market your, what you're looking for. And so all those things play into, obviously, we hold your hand through the end of the process. So you have some of those costs, the fees related to, actually buying the franchise. So
Right.
that varies, anywhere from, 12 to 15% of the value of the business that you're buying. So that's the most important cost, in addition to the investment in actually buying a franchise or a business.
Right. So are there some of the franchises, I would imagine from what I understand, they're different types. So some of them have like, a certain percentage that goes back to them, depending upon the franchise.
There's a royalty fee that you have to pay every year, so that varies, that obviously is the operational cost, once you buy the franchise, to begin with, obviously it's the investment and then the fees that go in getting the deal done for you, right? Then once you get the franchise or the business running, franchise especially, there is a royalty fee, and the royalty fee varies depending upon what franchise you have, acquired. It could be anywhere from 26% to almost 33, 34%. So it varies. There's no standard. It all depends on how popular the franchise is. So that's set by the franchisor.
Okay, and there are two immigration questions that I'll answer quickly. Can an H-1B or H-4 from India, and when you say from India, are you currently residing in India or you are a citizen of India? Because if you're currently residing in India, the rules would change a little bit. H-4 be allowed to start a business in the US? And there was another person that also asked, can H-1B visa holders become business partners or own a franchise? What are the implications of owning a business on an H-1B? Citizen of India. Okay, good. So here is the issue. H-1B is a work authorized status. And you have to have authorization to work for anyone outside of your H-1B employer. Having said that, there's a way you can file a concurrent H-1B as a self-petition if you're an owner. And like I said, if you look at our YouTube video, we go into how you need to structure that business so you can self-petition. So you can have you can still be working with your H-1B employer and concurrently also have the ability to work for your franchise. Now, if you just want to make a passive investment, and by passive investment, that means you want to invest in it, but somebody else is going to be working there, then that's not an issue. But if you also want to actively work and operate your franchise, then you can do it through a concurrent H-1B. H-4 visa holders, the only way they would be able to work is if they've got work authorization. And if they've got work authorization, they can own and operate a franchise. That's not a problem. So some other questions. You said you would take us through, I guess, what the process is in selecting. I mean, does Transworld help? Do you help your clients select an appropriate franchise for them? And then what's the process of the acquiring the franchise?
Yeah, like I said, it's a 9-step process. So let me, share my screen so that I can show you. I can, take you through the process and everybody who's listening out there. So here is the process of buying a franchise. So there's a 9-step to buying a franchise. Obviously, to begin with, we will meet you and get some information from you. The information gathering is, what kind of franchise are you looking for? Like I said earlier, what kind of, your purpose behind it, how much money are you, willing to put, and, other related stuff related to just the general background. Once we have got all that information, then what we do is, we go to the next step, which is we do a research on our side. Like I said, we have a great CRM system called Sydney, and we input all your information, whatever your requirements are, into that CRM system. And then we do see what the matching, franchises that come up, based on what your requirements are. And once we have those, then we present those, those matching franchises that came up that matched your requirements. And once you, like any one of those, then we will be able to connect you, make a phone call to the franchise, the person, or the franchisor, and have an initial call, get to understand, you have any questions. Obviously, you'll be able to answer all those questions. And once the call is over, and if you want to go forward, then what we do is we help you evaluate the franchise in a little more detail. So there is an FDD, a franchise disclosure agreement, that will be sent to you by the franchisor. And of course, I have another slide that talks about what that disclosure agreement will have. But that kind of helps you. It's a legal document, obviously. Lakshmi will know better. A legal document means it'll try to make sure that you understand what you're getting into, in terms of when you're buying that franchise. So there are some elements of that agreement that I'll go through that. So once you go through that and you're happy with it, then comes the validation part, which is then the franchisor will send more information about the franchise, the operations, and the financial data, and all the other details like the royalty, all the documents associated with that, so that you can go through them a little bit more. Once you have gone through those documents, and I'm sure you have some questions, and that's the next step where we want to make sure that you reassure yourself. So the assurance step is where we make another call with the franchisor and kind of get your questions answered by them. And once you're happy with that, then what we call is the exploration of the discovery phase. That's when you actually visit the franchisor, and that's when you see like show and tell kind of thing, right? And that's when you will actually nail down and say, yes, I like what I see, and let's go with it, and sign the dotted line. And that's the conclusion. So as you can see, the 9-step process goes through each and every phase, and there's no pressure anywhere. There's always, every third time or every so often, there is a step to communicate, reaffirm, reassure, validate. So we are holding your hand. So there's no issue at all, and nothing to worry about. You don't like one, we'll show you another one.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that you've in helping some of our clients that where the immigration requirements would have some very specific how many employees would you be able to hire, or does this franchise require?
Yeah.
What's the time frame for growth? You were able to give us some of those statistics so that the business objectives kind of aligned with the immigration objectives, whereas I think before, when I've done this, before you started working for Transworld, it was really difficult from just the immigration side to assess whether this business would really be able to achieve its immigration objectives.
Right. So there are a lot of folks, Transworld, most of the clients, I would say majority of the clients, or a big chunk of the clients of Transworld buyers, people who buy through Transworld are all from foreign countries, right? They're coming on various visas. So obviously immigration, aspect is very important. The criteria, right? There's so many business, so many employment has to be, jobs have to be created. What's the growth? All those things. So the Transworld has invested a lot of money in that CRM system, like I've said, and also in other, business reports. So we generate a lot of information and statistics pertaining to various businesses. And obviously the franchisors also have, invested a lot of money, because they know in this digital era, people want information, right? So everybody's collecting data. So, and from an immigration perspective, they also know that the clientele, where the clientele is. So if somebody is coming on an E2 visa or any other foreign visa, obviously certain immigration requirements have to be met. And most importantly, one of them is the job creation and the growth and all that. So we'll be able to provide all that information. That's not an issue at all. Or the franchisor can provide that information too. In fact, that's in the package, in the validation, package.
Right, and that actually helps because in most business immigration processes, you have to be able to substantiate that whatever you're affirming. If you say, you're going to grow X number of jobs in a certain time period, clearly, if you have documentary evidence from the franchisor, especially a well-known franchisor, that typically we have X number of franchises and this is the average of jobs that are created, would definitely provide strong evidence for the immigration submission as well. We have a question, so let me grab the question. Is a person on OPT eligible for franchise? They are. In fact, you are permitted to, be an entrepreneur while you're on your OPT. Remember, OPT is only for 1 year. So, but for right now, when a lot of people are worried about not having a job offer, and you have to have a job offer, otherwise to remain in status, a franchise may be a great option. And then what we can do is, and I do this in the immigration-focused franchise presentation, is talk about what are the next steps, because the idea is not only to take care of your immigration needs now, but to see it through fruition to what your ultimate objective is. So take a look at that. Again, subscribe, comment, forward it to your friends, and hopefully there'll be some real good information there to help you with your decision. So, Shekar, you wanted to talk a little bit about the franchise disclosure agreement, because I understand a lot of people are afraid that these big franchises may try to surprise them with some, undisclosed fees or obligations. What exactly does the franchise, for those who don't know, the franchise disclosure agreement provide? I think you had a document or something you want to share with us.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Just give me a minute. Like I said, it's a legal document. It explains, obviously, what the business is and what are the different aspects related to the business, the obligations, the financing. Not to, let me just.
While you look for that, isn't it true?
I'm here. Let me just share my screen.
There we go.
So, this one, I think, yeah.
Oh, that's also good.
That's
okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So this the franchise disclosure agreement, like I said, is a legal disclosure document that must be given to individuals interested in buying a U.S. franchise.
And that's by law. I mean, franchises are required to provide a franchise disclosure document.
So it has significant information about about the franchise. So here are some that are quite good. I mean, I don't have all the list, but here are some main important ones. The franchisor, any parents, predecessors, affiliates, all the history of that.
Oh, this you have as factors to be assessed when selecting franchise.
I know I do have, but it's kind of intermingled. There's all that together. The FDD has some of the elements. Plus, when you're looking to assess a franchise, these are some of the things. But there's like an overlap. So just wanted to get a feel of the fact that the disclosure document kind of gives you, what are the initial fees that are involved? What are the royalty fees that you have to pay? How much the estimated initial investment? Now, if you're buying a franchise for $200,000, as an example, the Apple, service center, they may not need more than, $10 10% or 20%. But that may not suffice for your E2 visa criteria application if you're coming through that, right? So those are things that need to be considered, that you take the franchise disclosure document and speak to with your attorney and then make sure you understand all that. But I just want to get you a feel of the fact that, what is the initial investment? What are some restrictions, source of products and services, obligations? There are certain things that you have to do on a day-to-day basis. You can't divert from what an established practice. Every franchise has their own, nitty-gritty details or innuendos that you should do, right? They also provide, obviously, financing, your loan, payment of the loan obligations, marketing. They do provide marketing support, but they also expect that you invest a percentage of your sales into the marketing, for the local marketing, right? And there are certain guidelines about how do you support for donations to charities, or printing T-shirts or any other advertising material. So a whole bunch of things that are listed in that franchise disclosure document. But by and large, the most important thing is, like, what are your obligations, right? What are the fees? What are the royalties that you have to pay every year? What happens if you don't pay the royalty? All those things are involved, are listed in the franchise disclosure agreement.
Yeah, because ultimately the franchise is selling their brand, so they want to protect their brand.
Yeah.
And so that's why they have all these, I guess, obligations that you have to follow, so the brand doesn't get diluted by a franchisee that is, not abiding by the terms and conditions.
Yeah, a simple example is, take McDonald's, the #1 franchise in the world. You go to any McDonald's, whether it is in downtown Manhattan or on road #1, Banjara Hills in Hyderabad, or you go to any street in a small town in Timbuktu or wherever, down south, it doesn't matter. That McDonald's, or take any exit on I-95 or I-81 to any small place, you will see the McDonald's. You will see consistently the logo, the appearance of the building, the color scheme, the presentation.
Right.
Everything is the same. They don't want you to change, and you can't change it. That's very important.
Right. Now, that brings up a good point. I've got two questions, and then since you said McDonald's, I wanted to ask you something about franchises. The question is, if an H-1B visa holder owns part of a franchise as a passive investor and allows partners to run the business, are there forms or disclosures that the H-1B should consider? Absolutely. You want it to be clearly outlined if you are entering into a partnership. Basically, the entity documents that you would set up. You may set it up as a partnership. You may set it up as an LLC, whether you're members of the LLC, but the operating documents for the entity that is created to own the franchise should clearly outline what the terms and obligations are. Usually an OPT has to be applied through the school you came from. Now, how does it work with franchising to apply for an OPT? Well, you would tell the school that you are trying to start your own business. And some of the things, there are very clear things that you can do during the OPT while trying to up and run a business. And the interesting thing about franchising, not so much for the OPT because you've already got your employment authorization document, but for other visas where you're uncertain whether the immigration is going to get approved before you close on the franchise, you can have a letter, a memorandum of intent to buy, and the money can be put in escrow or in your business account until the immigration side is approved, and there are ways to structure that. So these are the questions, and the question I had for you, Shekar, is you talked about McDonald's. So that's what I think of when I think of franchises. I think of Subways, McDonald's, but a lot of the immigration regulations require, like for example, the one that was asking a question about OPT, that the franchise or the business that they work in is related to their degree that they're enrolled in. And usually those are, if it's a a degree in biochemistry or engineering or IT. I mean, am I wrong to think that franchises are just Subways and McDonald's? And are there other franchises that would support not only these kind of highly qualified, skilled individuals, but would help support the H-1B down the road as well?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different kinds of franchises that are available. Uh, it's just not just McDonald's or Subways. Obviously, most of your clientele, the H-1B visa holders,
Yeah.
bachelor's degree, and they're studying in, a related, they could be in a STEM field, or they may not be in a STEM field,
Right.
science, technology, engineering, math. So there are franchises, and transfer business franchises do have, let me share my screen to show you the category. By and large, it's not an exhaustive category, but just give you an idea that it's not, we are not just into selling franchises related to Subways and, fast foods and all that. So here are certain, franchises that are available across the country or across the world in automotive, aviation, advertising, IT staffing, engineering, medical related. So,
Wow.
you have folks, who are studying computer science. Like I said, there are quite a bit of, medical related, medical related businesses, where there are franchises that are what do you call manufacturing devices, medical devices, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
there are, companies that are there that are available to be picked up, to be bought. You talked about, what do you call somebody in the engineering related aviation. There are aviation businesses that are available for sale.
Wow.
Automotive businesses are available for sale. Or franchises, I mean to say. I mean, I use the term franchise and business, interchangeably. But bottom line, what I'm saying is, it's not, don't be under the impression that Transworld Business Advisors, #1 business brokerage firm in the world, 40 years in business, not just in only, Subways or McDonald's or any of those fast food related. They're also into other areas like the clothing, beauty salon. Somebody is majoring in chemistry. Well, a beauty salon or a salon or spa is an ideal place for such people, because obviously it would be related, because chemistry obviously teaches, ingredients, mixing and all that. And in a
Right.
beauty salon, you got to have the right mix of the product that is being put on somebody's nails or toes or head or whatever, body.
Right. I
So,
think the USCIS may disagree with you, but the medical related and engineering and all of that.
and
Um,
somebody that medical related could be medical devices, or it could be, and I forgot one category there, home health. Home health
oh,
care is
yeah.
the biggest, one of the most successful franchise businesses. And right now, during this COVID times, you know, first of all, thanks to all the first responders and everybody who's
Yes.
doing a great job out there, and all the volunteers who are, doing their great job, donating to all the organizations. Go for it. Let's do that. But so there are a lot of home healthcare businesses that are available for sale, and they're doing great.
Yeah.
So anybody who's majoring in, doing a MPH or any other related field in the medical administration or what have you, they can consider buying those businesses. Obviously, you can justify to your CIS it is related.
Right. And I learned, I think for some materials that you sent me, that home health care is like, you were able to tell me what the expected financial growth is in that area, and it's like one of the fastest growing franchises
Oh yeah.
and most successful right now. And it can also tell me how many people would be required to work in that particular area.
As a general rule, every time for any business that anybody is interested in buying, uh,
Mhm.
at a minimum, we would have 3 years of financials,
Oh, okay.
which includes operational, details also, which is like jobs, how many jobs over the years, how many
Mhm.
full-time employees, how many part-time employees, how many daily workers, so you can do the FTE calculation for the immigration purpose, because by and large, most inquiries come from folks from other parts of the world, want to get into the United States.
We have a question. We have two questions. 1 second. My wife has a Master's of Science from Chemistry from India. Would a beauty salon franchise be right for her? No, I don't think the USCIS would see it quite the way Shekar sees it, the complexities. But I think they have, because they have medical supplies and medical related franchises, there may be one where the chemistry degree would come into play. Shekar?
Yeah, I mean, there are quite a few other, the food related businesses are there. How about we have food related businesses? They should be probably, eligible, because there's some part of chemistry that is related to that flour businesses. So, I mean, the list is is quite long, and I can tell you, whoever asked the question, I'm not sure, but you shouldn't be worried. We'll find a business that fits the requirement of the immigration authorities.
Right, and
your degree and your experience.
And what's been good, and that's part of the reason why Shekar dove into this, is because he understood from working at Challa Law what the immigration side is. So for our clients that are interested in this, we work hand in hand to make sure it's a very synergistic solution where the business, it's got to make sense. It's got to be profitable, right? You don't want to invest just for immigration. So it's got to be profitable, successful, but you want to achieve your immigration objective. And we work together to try to identify which one works best for both.
Yeah, well, the first question I always ask, when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to buy a business. First thing, if I know that person already, I know he or she is a U.S. citizen, live here and all. But if I don't know the person, well, the first question is, what's your visa status, right? First thing. Second thing is, what's the purpose of your buying? Because those things will determine, give me an idea as to which path I need to take them to, So it's very important. So that's how it goes. And I know, having been working, helping Lakshmi in the last, 23 years or more, obviously immigration has certain requirements, right? So we always, my discussion, my initial questions and exploration and information gathering always is towards that direction, because I know that that's their motive. So if I have to get to that information and accordingly map their requirements so that, they are benefited by the entire process, not just buying the franchise, but also getting their immigration.
Right. And so there's a couple of questions, and they're franchise related. Someone is asking, do you have franchises in the fashion industry? Because I think you mentioned clothing.
Yeah, clothing. So, definitely there are some, I don't remember the names, but we do have, in the retail, clothing, obviously they're all fashion related, yes, definitely.
And if there's somebody that's interested, what's the best way to reach you? We should have had.
Yeah, I have.
Do you have your business card or a slide with your contact information that you can share?
Yeah, let me just get back to that again and see if I can share that slide here.
And then there is somebody that wants to know if Transworld has an updated list of franchises or businesses who want to sell for food and technology.
Well, the best thing is for me, here is my information, as you can see, my cell number is there, fax number, my email. And you can go to the website and see, the businesses that are there. You can do a search on your own, but if you send me an email and say, hey, I'm interested in looking for businesses in this question that just came in terms of fashion. I love that. We are all thinking of fashion even now, but it's good, right? What do you do? Sitting at home all day, you know? You got to think about different things. You got to be creative, right? You want to change your wardrobe? Yes. Whenever that happens, an opportunity comes, then you can go drive and go to the mall or what have you. In some states in the United States, you can do that, but not in Virginia as yet.
Right.
Anyway, send me an email with the details, basically saying, hey, I'm interested in buying a business in the fashion industry. I mean, you can be as general as fashion industry, or you could say, hey, I'm interested in buying a clothing franchise or a, what do you call it, retail, whatever. Just send me and I'll do the search and I will send you a report.
Right, and then we had someone else that asked about food and technology as well. So
Yeah.
they could email you and get some information.
So my email, as you can see, is on the screen, and it's not too complicated. C Challa, C, my first initial, Shekar. People call me Shekar, but C Challa at tworld, T for transworld.com. And I'll be glad to, I don't know if Lakshmi shares, the slides, or I know
we're going to be
the recording.
She does, right, we're going to be,
yeah,
we're going to be uploading the this webinar on our YouTube website, the Challa Law Group.
Yeah.
And so, take a look at that, and the corresponding or the related video on immigration pathways and franchising. And please comment and share. And if, here is Shekar's contact information. If you need to look at it again, it'll be up on the YouTube channel at the Challa Law Group. And
I wanted to say something before I forget to all the viewers out there. And, so one of the things, obviously we are here to help. I'm here to help you buy or sell a business or a franchise. But one of the first things, you can always, for your relatives and friends and like-minded people who are already in business, let's say, right? I mean, I'm talking about the other side of what we offer. We help people buy businesses, but we also help people by selling their business, right? So let's say, your cousin or your best friend, has been in business for a long time and he or she is tired of, but sometimes the thought that I'm getting into does not come unless somebody probes into it. So one of the things to ask is, for people who are in businesses and who probably use an opportunity to get out, say, hey, have you ever thought of selling your business? Or the other way around, somebody who's got, a great job, but the person is not really enjoying the job, making a lot of money, may have made a lot of money, also wants to do something in addition to that job that he has or she has. Then you can ask the other question, hey, have you ever thought of buying a business? Plant that idea into them and see the miracle that can happen. It will happen, I'm telling you.
Well, yeah.
And then ask them to reach me. I'll take care of business.
There's a couple more questions. Somebody wanted to know if you can help in securing financial assistance. I believe you can, right? Somebody to help.
Obviously, these days, even before all this, SBA, that is pumping in, the U.S. government is pumping, the Federal Reserve is pumping in a lot of money into the market, with all these different types of loan, the Main Street loan, the PPP loan, and all that stuff. But by and large, one of the best things that the sellers, the person who is selling, if they have a successful business, they want to get out of the business for the only reason they're done, they're happy, they want to do something else now after 30, 40 years, they have a lot of cash. So what we tell them, because that will help enhance, accelerate selling their business, right, is to provide what is called seller financing. So seller financing is very, very important in our business. And what that does is it helps people who are interested or looking to buy a business and don't have much cash to put down, will still be able to, buy a business or a franchise because of seller financing, right? So that's the key thing. So a lot happens in terms of seller financing in our business here, but we've got small community banks across the nation in different parts of the country who work with Transworld, who have great products to get a loan passed to be eligible to buy a business through Transworld. So we have great collaboration with a lot of small business loan, assistance, and these banks and other lenders. So definitely, we'll be glad to help on that front too.
Right, and so they don't need to really buy it outright.
Yeah, you can go through these lenders, the banks, right. Or even not even the lender. Or the third one option is through the seller directly. The seller comes in. Let's say the seller is selling a business for $100,000, right? That's what he or she expects. You don't have that much money. Then what you can do, what the seller will say, okay, you pay me $25,000. I will finance $75,000 for you, and that $75,000, you and he will come into some kind of an agreement as to how you will pay, how many years, what interest rate, and all that. Right. He's financing for you.
Yeah.
So that's what seller financing is, and that's what we'll look for. And one of the things is always if you are serious about business, what you should do as a first step is to get yourself pre-qualified based on your net worth. Go to any lender or a small community bank or whichever bank you bank with right now and say, I'm interested in buying a business for about, let's say, $200,000 or whatever. Just go and talk to them and say, I'm interested in buying a business. Can you pre-qualify me? And they'll tell you based on your financial data, what is the amount for which you are pre-qualified.
Okay,
great. That's a great thing, because when you walk with that to when you come to me and we both walk to a seller and say, hey, this person is already pre-qualified. That means what? Your credit rating is great.
Right. Excellent, excellent. This is one question about immigration. Do you help start a business without a franchise? And what are the complications with regard to immigration? It's a very, immigration is very expansive. So it would depend on a number of things, like what your current status is in the United States, things like that. But we will be shortly we are looking to set up a consultancy side to the immigration practice, because we do that anyway, helping our clients on the business side. So to have it in a more structured process, we'll be putting that together. Somebody wanted to know if it would be possible to provide a list of businesses that qualify for the USCIS immigration. It wouldn't, but if you've got somebody who's interested, have them email Shekar with the contact information that he provided into the specific industry that they're interested in, and then he and I will coordinate to make sure, based on the data, which one would best qualify for the immigration. Right, Shekar?
Yeah, sometimes you want to you're interested in a business, but it may not have that many jobs, and the investment may not be that much, but you need certain level of investment, a certain number of jobs from an immigration perspective, right? So, and what you can do, and you can afford to, you have more money to do it. Then what you do is you buy a series of the same businesses. For example, this Apple Servicing Center I was talking about, right? The Apple Servicing Center, there is one even in Richmond, but there's one in our area, in the greater Metro Richmond. There are two of them, right? So the job creation in a dense populated area like Richmond or Metro Richmond is more than the same Apple servicing agent that is in Fredericksburg or Wallington or any one of those other places, right? So if you're able to come up with a little more larger chunk, to invest, you could buy 3-4 of these in a close proximity. And together, you'll get the number of jobs that you're looking for.
That's an excellent.
That would be considered eligible, Lakshmi?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. In fact, a few years ago, we helped someone with, what is it, Five Guys burgers. One wasn't enough, but they bought the rights to a region, so they would have multiple Five Guys. And so this was for an E2, and so that's how we were able to show the job growth, because there were multiple Five Guys. So even if you're interested in one particular franchise, as Shekar pointed out, you can buy multiple franchises and show the job growth.
You can buy multiple instances of the same franchises, or you can have multiple franchises that are interrelated or related. Let's take an IT or engineering graduate, right? They're interested in, they want to show connectivity, IT staffing, right? And then automotive, this service companies, call centers, all these together, they're all in, you can justify, tax consultancy, business consultancy. I got the tax education, franchises that are available. So all these are, so somebody's an education major. These are all the things. So you can buy a bunch of them. Bunch means enough to show the, the count, the job creation and the growth, and in close proximity. So it's easy also for you to manage.
Right, and I thought I saw, which I thought it was really interesting. One of the franchises I saw was where you give network or IT support to smaller businesses that may not have internal IT support.
Yeah, their own IT person, so you act as a chief technology officer or a chief information officer or what have you, you got a bunch of people who go, once every so often, depending upon the size of the company, and take care of their IT services, So definitely, yeah, there are companies like that. So you can buy, a bunch of those, So the point is, there are ways. We here, when I say we, I'm talking about me at Sean's World and Lakshmi at Challa Law. We come up with out-of-the-box strategies to solve your problems. Mm-hmm. So you can expect that, she's been practicing for 23 years by herself, and 5 years, as an attorney in the downtown law firm, that's 28 years. And of course, she's had the mind of the legal, for a long time, and, from the time I know her, so what I'm saying is there's no situation or a case that she has not solved, right? So she will solve it. She'll tell me what she's looking for, and I'll take care of that. So you guys don't have to worry about it. Just shoot what you want and what you're looking for. You take care of it.
There are two questions. I think one is Sunanda about her son's F1. I've already spoken to him, so you can know that we've talked about doing maybe another program after his current F1 to have him continued status. So don't worry, Mom, I'm in touch with your son. He's going to be fine. And then we have another question. What happens when you don't have a Social Security number since you're on your OPT and don't have a required SSN yet? Well, you'll have an SSN on OPT. It'll just say with work authorized status. But it's not you as an individual. I mean, it's you as an individual, but you will set up an entity. You'll set up a business. It may be an LLC. It may be, a different structure. The entity, once it has been set up, then that entity would apply for a federal employer ID number. You would use that federal employer ID number to open up a bank account, purchase a franchise. So it would not be your Social Security number, but the federal tax ID number of the company. Now, because the company is fairly new, you'd have to show a bank how you can capitalize it through your personal assets before they would qualify you for a loan. But they'll be giving the loan to the business, but you would have to demonstrate from your personal financial, history, your FICO score, what you have saved up. There are a number of things the banks look for. in terms of whether, you know, they would give you a loan. But the fact that you don't have a Social Security number is not a problem. So as we close out, I want to thank everyone for joining. We've gone past the 1 hour time. Remember, you know, the immigration and the business side, what we're trying to do is provide a holistic solution so that both of your issues are addressed. Email us at info@challalaw. Shekar gave his email
I'm
again as well.
I'm sharing my screen here one more time so that as we close, you know, people, because most of you may have seen me for the first time or heard from me for the first time. I'm actually first time on the digital air. So thank you, Lakshmi and Challa Law Offices, for the opportunity. So, you know, I look forward to hearing from you. So here's my contact.
Fantastic. And for those of you who are looking for what's next Monday, we have our weekly COVID updates. Monday at 11 a.m. Next Wednesday, we'll be talking to Liz Taylor from Born Free, who will talk about animal conservation, animal conservatories and taking care of wildlife around the world and what she did in the UK in front of Parliament and others. And then the week after that, the following Wednesday, we will be taking a deep dive into EB5. So it'll be Challa Chai time in 2 weeks in EB5, and we'll have a regional, our special guest will be someone who's owned and operated a regional center for quite some time. So you can find out a little bit about how those regional centers work. So until then, thank you, Shekar Challa, for your time and
the opportunity.
Your insight. Excuse me?
Thank you for the opportunity. I enjoyed it. So hopefully, you know, I was of some help to your audience.
Oh, absolutely. And it's been great working with you on some of our E2 issues and other issues to be able to help our clients. I mean, before it was really hard because I was talking to a different broker every time who didn't understand immigration. So it's great to have somebody who already has the immigration background, but I can consistently work with, so we're not reinventing the wheel. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. Again, please sign up on our social media where you can get the latest updates on immigration changes. Take a look at our YouTube channel where we're trying to provide really great content to tell you how to navigate through the complex immigration process. Share it with your friends that may be interested, because we're trying to reach as many people as possible to help them. And subscribe. So thank you again. Till next time. Chai time. Thank you, Shekar.
All right. Stay safe and help your community where you live.
Right. Everyone, stay safe.
Yeah.
Social distancing is a thing. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
See you next time.